Hello, beautiful people. Today is 31st of August. My name is Sahil and welcome to the newspaper analysis. But before that, friends, let's have a look on today's GS folder. So, today we'll see the concept of the middle income trap, which is very important for our GS paper number 3 Indian economy. Now, guys, middle income trap is a phenomena where it is said that certain countries, into the course of their development from developing to developed nation, in between they struck into a income trap that is characterized by the gross per capita national income between the range of 1000 to $12,000. They are not able to break this particular ceiling and they are struck there for a considerable long periods. And it is said that the Brazil as well as Mexico along with also the South Africa, they are the classic examples which are struck into such kind of middle income trap. Now, there are certain outliers also. For example, there is a South Korea, there is Hong Kong, Singapore, who had broken this middle income trap very rapidly. They never even witnessed this kind of trap. But in India, it is now being said that India might be struck into this middle income trap. Now, when we see the reasons for such middle income trap, there are three most prominent reasons. Number one, the countries they have lost their export competitiveness due to rising wages, and now the industries start to exit or they don't prefer these countries. Then the second reason is that these countries don't have the market for the high value goods and services, and third reason is the institutional weakness due to which the genuine reforms don't come into these countries. Now, guys, I give you a question that you tell me, do you think that India is struck into the middle income trap or India is just transitioning its way out? Okay, so please you need to tell me, just give your 2-3 points. If yes, why? If no, why? So guys, that's all about today's GS folder, and now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail.
Now friends, let's have an overview of the entire paper first. Guys, all the notes that we discuss into the newspaper are provided into our Telegram channel. The link has been given into the description. You can download the notes from there. Now the first news is with respect to making India a global toy hub. In this particular respect, the entire prospects of the toy industry in India will be seen. Then guys, this particular article mentions about the NRC issue. So from the very scratch, this entire thing we will be seeing up. Then guys, here we can see that the GI tag item has been mentioned. So in that particular respect, for the prelims, we'll see what has been given. Then guys, moving forward. Now here you can see that the Google as well as Facebook has been told by the Delhi High Court that all the objectionable material such as the child pornography etc needs to be removed permanently by such kind of service providers. So guys, just a one liner concept, you can quote it into the questions with respect to the child issues and all such kind of things. Then moving forward, there are other regional news not important for our exam. And guys, here we can see a kind of a, basically it is a classic problem in India that there is the poor convergence between the different department as well as authorities. Now what has happened, there are 6 cities into the Maharashtra where the air quality has been deteriorated because the developmental efforts are not synchronized, they are not converged. So guys, just if a question comes in this, just a one line reference you can give of the smart city issue of the Maharashtra. So now moving forward, we are now into the editorial section, and this first editorial talks about the discontinuation of the ease of doing business by the World Bank. So in this particular respect, we will see that what were the flaws and what were the issues in this particular direction. Then guys, this particular article mentions about the recent quota in quota issue which has been allowed by the Supreme Court. However, this entire issue just 2-3 days back I had discussed from very scratch. Entire background way forward I have already taken up. Then guys, this particular article talks about that why relocation from China to India will not be that much smooth and why there will be the problems in that particular regard. Then guys, this particular article talks about the rising number of infection, rising number of cases, fatality rate, etc. However, not important for our exam because such numbers will be changing. Then guys, this particular article, it is a kind of a political blame which has been levied onto the ruling government. It has been said that the present government has used the Hindutva agenda or ideology and had made every crisis as an opportunity to boast themselves. Guys, politically inclined article, not at all important for our exam. Then this particular article every Monday comes onto the journalism, not it is usually important for the paper. Then this article talks that how into the entire media only the case of the Sushant Singh Rajput is being shown and the actual coverage of the news has been missing. Then guys, this particular this particular page mentions the regional news. Now here the toy city of the Karnataka has been mentioned, so in that particular respect we'll see this thing. Now this article is an interview of the Urjit Patel, the former RBI governor. He had released a book, so the expert excerpts from his book has been mentioned. However, if you want, you can read this article by your own. Some generalistic things have been noted with respect to the Indian economy. However, some very specific arguments have not been provided. Then moving forward, here we can see that the post-traumatic stress disorder has been mentioned. Our survey has been carried, so in that particular direction we will see this thing, and how why government needs to provide the psychological counseling is a need of our. We'll be seeing that also. This particular news also talks about the mental health. Then moving forward, the education plus, nothing important for our exam. Then the showcase page, it does not usually happens to be important. Then guys, on to the world page also, the same kind of a COVID demonstration etc has been mentioned, not important for our paper. Now today's as Monday, business page doesn't comes. Today is money wise, which don't contains the important matter for our exam. And then finally the sports page. So that's it, and now let's take the newspaper analysis in detail.
Now, guys, taking up the first news, so it pertains to the Prime Minister's address to the nation, where he had explored the idea of toy manufacturing in India. Now, this particular thing is very good. Earlier, also, such kind of suggestions have been made, and particularly in regard to India, toy manufacturing can hold great potentials. So, here, beyond the scope of this particular news item, we will be seeing comprehensively that what are the opportunities as well as what could be the challenges for India into the toy manufacturing, because such a thing can be highly relevant for GS paper number 3, where we are looking the alternative models of bringing the economic growth. So there, if a question comes, you can provide this particular suggestion. Now guys, talking about the toy market in India, then in 2017, the toy market is estimated to be $1.3 billion industry. And it has been said that by 2023, this industry will more than double and it will reach to a $2.9 billion industry. And if into the past we see the growth rate into the toy manufacturing, then the compound annual growth rate between 2010 to 2017 has been 15.8%, which is very impressive given any component of the manufacturing. Now guys, for India, toy manufacturing holds a great place. Why? Because there are three most important reasons. Number one, we have one of the largest young population in the world, and because of that thing, indigenous market or the domestic market is one which no other country is having apart from China. Then the second is that there is the demand for tech toys which is increasing, because right now what has happened, basically in our country the middle income group category is increasing. Now they have more disposable income, and because of this thing the demand of toys is actually also rising. Now guys, first of all, they are toys. They are not only the goods for the recreation, but they also holds a even more bigger significance. They helps to improve the motor skills into the children's cognitive mind. Fine, they help in coordination, the hand coordination, the body coordination. They help in these kind of things. Secondly, it improves the imaginative skills of the children, and now as the education level, literacy level into the parents are increasing, they are also recognizing this particular fact and are giving importance of toys into the life of the children, and this particular thing will be improving into that, more improving into the times to come. So therefore this industry will be thriving even more. Now guys, as we had seen that right now we are suffering into the pandemic, a new dimension with respect to the toys have also been developing. What has happened? Now the education, recreation, entertainment, everything has turned to the screen, into the mobile phone, into the laptop, iPads and all these kind of stuff. and there is an inherent problem into the screen based mechanisms that they reduces the attention span of a person who is relying too much onto them. And as the young children are relying onto the screen, their attention span is reducing, and there, if rather than the screen they are given the toys have proven that they rather increases the attention span. For example, you give a child a puzzle or give him a set of Lego to build a to make a building, to make a car, he will be involved there for hours, and that particular thing will improve the cognitive skills. So therefore it has been said that the toys such as Lego, puzzles, they had shown that they are very important. Now guys, if we see, then these are the potentials, but at the same time there are a problem into the toy manufacturing also in India. First of all, we don't have the large number of toy manufacturers. Is it clear? If we see, then first of all, the toy manufacturers are not there. Secondly, there is the lack of innovative toys also in India. Only two major categories of toys are preferred, or they are sold, or they are found. That is the plush toys. Plush toys are that the soft toys, the teddy bear which you might give on to the teddy day. They are, then there are the cheap battery operated toys, that are the cars and all these kind of stuff, which are mainly imported from the China. Secondly, if we see the toy manufacturing of India, then guys, onto the world landscape there are two major corporates, that is the Mattel and Lego, which are the dedicated corporates. Now in India, such kind of dedicated corporates are absent. Only one major player is there, that is the Fun School Toys. But in comparison to the quality of toys that the Lego and Mattel can give, their capabilities are also restricted. Then the next problem with respect to the toys in India is that retail space, or the shops selling the good quality toys, they are very limited. The majority of shops into the neighborhood, they only sell the plush types of toys. Now in India, Hamleys is only is one among the few brand which is selling the high quality toys, but the presence of brands such as Hamleys, they are limited into the bigger cities and particularly to the metropolitans. So therefore the retail space is limited, imagination with respect to toys is limited, manufacturing with respect to the toys is limited, everything is limited. Fine. Now guys, what has happened? Government had now taken up the Atmanirbharta, and now specifically the Atmanirbharta in toys is also being called. When the Prime Minister has made an address, it has said that it is a time that with respect to toys we need to vocal for the local. Okay, local toys needs to be bought, and toys not only need to be made in India, but they are made on India. So there are various themes in India. We have such rich history, diversity. So in diversity we needs to bring our imaginations at that how by toys that particular thing could be reflected. Moreover guys, not only the toys have to be made, rather onto the video games also the attention is needed to be given, because there is you can know you know that there is no comparable player into the video game or virtual games from the India. Now guys, it has been said that the startups industries, they should work into this particular direction, because as I told you that the CAGR is very huge into the toy industry. Moreover guys, apart from the toys, Prime Minister has also gave a reference in his address to the farmers. What he has said? He has said that this particular year the sowing of crops, the kharif crops, the rabi crops, all types of crops, there is increase into the sowing, which Prime Minister has called that it is something good. But guys, the economists don't believe this thing, and even we had seen into our newspaper discussion that already India is facing the problem of the disguised unemployment into the agriculture, and if even more people are coming into agriculture, it will further aggravate the problem. People are coming in agriculture right now not because they are finding it lucrative or government had taken some reforms, rather because they don't have other alternative. And from very long, the agriculture sector has been a low yielding industry. So guys, that particular thing, I personally don't believe that such thing is good indicator, but however such thing has been said by the Prime Minister. Then thirdly, Prime Minister has also made a reference to the teachers. They had said that teachers has played a great role right now, because even during the time of shutdown, teachers have used the innovative technologies through the internet and had given the high quality educations to the students. So that particular thing has also been recognized. So guys, these things have been there into the address. So with respect to the toys, please do prepare it. A probable question on such line could be asked. So that's it, and now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this next particular news, it is a small news, might miss your attention, but it has a huge implications. First of all, I tell you what has happened and into what context we will read this news. Now, into our GS paper number 2, good governance has been mentioned, as well as in GS paper number 4, probity in governance has been mentioned. So we need to enhance the experience of a citizen with respect to the government as well as government products and services. Now, why the problem of governance in India? Because of the bureaucratic inefficiency as well as bureaucratic apathy. Civil servants, they don't want to work. Why? Because a major contributor in such thing is that they develop a kind of an attitude that once they had entered, they are the officers and they are not the servants. They believe that they have a kind, now they have the job security, they have the income security, and they don't owe accountability to anyone. And this particular thing brings the quality of governance in India. So therefore, it has been recognized by the ARC reports and various commissions that the near permanent nature of jobs or the no fear of giving accountability with respect to their performances plays a big role in bringing down the governance levels in India. Now guys, earlier what has happened, the Administrative Reform Commission, ARC, it said that the bureaucrats, the civil servants, they should go through a mid-term evaluation. They should be seen that how they are performing, what kind of basically how competent they are, and all such kind of things. Even the Seventh Pay Commission had said that the performance evaluation should be done for the civil servants from time to time, and even their salaries should also be linked with their performance. One part of the salary should be on performance basis. So these things have been said, but till now major serious attention was not being given to them on to the considerable lines. But now the DOPT, that is the Department of Personnel and Training, has issued a notification and had said that into the Central Civil Services Rules 1972, they had made it clear that after 30 years of service or into the age bracket of 50 to 55 years. So if you have completed 30 years or if you are into this particular age bracket, a review will be done of the officers. It will be seen, a kind of a performance register will be made, and it will be seen that they are whether competent or not. Quarterly performance review of such officers will be made. And it has been said that such review will be made on 3 grounds: their integrity, then their effectiveness or ineffectiveness, and their competence or incompetence. And on if these 3 grounds the officers are found to be non-performing or if they are substandard, then they have to be prematurely retired. Just by giving the 3-month notice or 3-month salary, they could be prematurely retired. Now guys, if we come to the news says that premature retirement is not a penalty. It is not a punishment. Rather, DOPT is saying that we are doing this particular thing to bring more efficiency into the governance system. Now guys, it has been said that such a thing will bring a large number of benefits. For example, it will weed out or remove the corrupt and the non-performing officers. And such a reform has been asked from such a long time, and finally government is taking the active steps into this particular direction. Now, rule number 56 as well as rule number 48 of Central Civil Services Conduct Rules 1972 have been used here. Moreover, guys, the fundamental rule number 560 has also been used. So 356, 560 and 48 have been used into this particular direction. Now, such a thing will bring much benefits and has been appreciated, but on to the flip side, if we analyze this entire situation, it can also be a double-edged sword. It could be misused also. How it can be misused? See, I will give you one reference. As there are different rules, right now we are talking about the 1972 rules. There is one more document also. That is the Central Civil Services Conduct Rules 1964. Okay, so this 1964 rules, they have one specific rule, that is rule number 9. And into the rule number 9, it has been said that the civil servants, they can't criticize the government. It has been said that the criticism of the government will is a kind of a conduct that will not be tolerated. And now it is being said that by utilizing such kind of things, the officers which are basically not going with the government in terms of basically we can say that the officers which have a kind of a proactive stand on some kind of issues, they could be punished, or the officers which might not be abiding to all whims and fancies of the government, they will be punished. And this particular thing has happened earlier also. For example, the Shah Faisal, when he was serving as an IAS officer, he talked about the rape culture that is going into the South Asia. Then for that particular thing he was reprimanded. Then there was an officer who filed a complaint for a legislator because he had given a kind of a communal speech. But when the officer filed the complaint against that particular legislator, he utilized the letterhead of the office, and on this particular charge that he had used the property of the government, he was reprimanded for that particular thing. Then few months back, 3 IPS officers from the West Bengal, they were put under the suspension because they had shared the stage with the Mamta Banerjee government officials. So on these particular things are many times the even honest officers have been punished. So in this particular direction, such kind of things can be utilized as an excuse. However, any reform comes with its own cost as well as on benefit. So just because there could be misuse, we will not be saying that the reforms are not desirable. So guys, this is all about the issue about this particular thing. Can be highly relevant for your GS2 as well as GS4. So that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talk about the issue of the NRC. Is it clear? Now, what has happened? The COVID-19 has created new problem for the people who are going through the NRC. So here I will give you a brief background of entire NRC as well as the issue which has happened right now. So if you know this thing, please revise it very quickly, and if you don't know, then pay even more attention. Now guys, first of all, NRC, it means the National Register for Citizens. It is nothing but it is a list where the names of the bona fide citizens or the legitimate genuine citizens will be written. Now, for the Assam in 1951, for the first time the demand of NRC was made. It is believed that in Assam large number of people from other countries, they have come and they are posing a problem onto the indigenous population. The indigenous people's demography is going down. Now guys, in 1951 such an exercise was taken, but it was not that much successful. Fine. Then what happened? Now guys, after 1966, the outsiders migration into Assam even increased. Why? Because in 1966, the Kaptai Dam was being built. Okay, and because of the Kaptai Dam, there was huge submergence into the Bangladesh. A large number of villages were submerged and people from there, they came to the India. And now the demography or the population structure changed so much that even a new spate of kind of demand came that now you have to do something very seriously for the population of outsiders which is increasing. Then gradually in 1979, all Assam Student Union ASU took the lead in their hand, and ASU gave a kind of a decisive battle to the government on this particular matter. And finally, because of this thing, in 1985 Assam Accord was signed between ASU, between the government of Assam and between the government of India, and it was said that we will deal this particular thing. And it was said that what we will do to solve the problem, the people who have came before 1966, 1st January 1966 into the Assam, we will consider them all citizens. Will not go into 1950, 66 will fix as a deadline. Then it has been said that people who had come after 1st January 1966 and but before 25 March 1971, they will not be given the citizenship, but they will be considered eligible to get the citizenship. For living 10 more years, they can apply for the citizenship if they have all the prerequisite documents. Then the people who came after the 25 March 1971 post, these people have to be deported back. Okay, so mainly these people are the concern. Now guys, how you will know that who had came after 25 March 1971? For this, a list will be made for the bona fide citizens, and that list is called as the National Register of Citizens. Are you getting it or not? So that NRC was to be made after 1985 only. But as happens all the time in our country, that particular matter was also kept into the cold freezer for so many years and nothing was done into this thing. Then what happened? 2014, the Supreme Court gave a directive to government that you have ignored NRC for so long time and now you have to make NRC into the time bound manner. And then the government started to make the NRC. It gave the series of draft NRCs, and the final NRC was given in 2019. And in that NRC, there were nearly 19 lakh people whose name was not found. It means that these people have came illegally and they have to be deported back. Now guys, as a standard operating procedure, government provided a kind of a mechanism for the appeal also. See, during this NRC exercise, there were the reports that many people who were not actually the citizens, they have been included by taking the bribe, and many people who were actually the citizens, they have not been included because they were illiterate, they were not able to produce their documents. So government said that once your name is not into the NRC, you will be given a rejection slip. Now this rejection slip will actually tell that why your name is not into the NRC. It will give the reason, and if anyhow you feel that you can justify, you can dispute this particular rejection by giving the supporting document, you can apply to the Foreigners Tribunal. So the Foreigners Tribunal has been made under the provision of the Foreigners Act 1946 and the Foreigners Tribunal Order 1964. So you can apply to this tribunal and your matter will be dealt here. Is it clear? Now guys, what has happened? There are 19 lakh people whose name is not into the NRC, but they have not received the rejection slip. And till they'll not receive the rejection slip, they can't go to the Foreigners Tribunal. So these people are struck into a kind of a limbo, or these people are right now suffering. It is now being said that because of the pandemic that is going on, the government machinery is not functional and they can't give the rejection slips, but in mean course of time such kind of activity will be started. So guys, this is the entire issue which is going on. The people are not able to know that where they should approach. Now guys, this particular matter has been very much there into the news. Please prepare it. Now with respect to the NRC, government also said, if you remember, that the NRC will be extended to the entire country. However, post that particular thing, no clarity came. However, NRC for Assam happens to be an important topic. So guys, that's all about this particular article. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article is important for the prelims because it mentions an important GI commodity. First of all, here the Kandhamal turmeric or the Kandhamal haldi from the Odisha has been mentioned. Now this particular turmeric was given the GI tag, which are provided under the GI Act of 1999. Now guys, moment a GI tag is given to one particular commodity, it means that no other person, no other region from the entire country can use that particular name. And giving a GI tag gives a kind of a distinct identity to a product, and it increases the marketability of that particular product. For example, that GI tag has been given to the Rasgulla of the Bengal. Okay, the GI tag has also been given to the Rasgulla of the Odisha. Now this particular thing increases their market value. Now GI tag has been given to this particular turmeric because it has a very rich aroma. Moreover, it is an organic variety of turmeric. It is grown by the tribal families without the use of any of fertilizer as well as pesticide. And right now, as people are preferring the immunity booster products, such kind of haldi becomes very important. But it has been said that as the lockdown started, large number of families had grown such a kind of produce. This turmeric is a cash crop into the Odisha for more than 60,000 families, but now they are facing the economic miseries. Now, the disruption of supply chain has been there. They are not able to export these turmeric from to the other parts of the country, and therefore they are facing a misery. So guys, please remember such a GI tag from the region, and this thing is not a misery for these people only, but the people dealing in different kind of GI commodities, different kind of art and craft specimens and all such kind of things they are facing. So a cumulative point you can put, and if a question comes, then you can give such a reference from this particular news. So guys, that's all about this particular news, and now we'll move to the next article. Now friends, we are into the editorial section, and this first article, it talks about the recent decision taken by the World Bank, where they have suspended the ease of doing business report. We have seen this particular report's reference many a times, and in all the government's reform action, ease of doing business is mentioned. Now, before going into more deeper details into this particular report, we'll see some points with respect to the report. Now, ease of doing business is released by the World Bank. It ranks the countries onto the 10 parameters as what is the business environment in them. The better the ease of doing business rank, it means that better reforms government has brought. Now, what are the things on which it is seen whether the country is having the good atmosphere or not? Starting a business, dealing with construction permits, then getting electricity, registering property, getting credit, protecting investors, paying taxes, trading across borders, the state borders, then the enforcing contracts and resolving the insolvency. So these are the 10 parameters, the procedural aspect within them, the other technical aspects within them. If the country is doing good, they will get a good rank. Now, if we talk about the India's ease of doing business, then in 2019, we got the 63rd rank out of 190 countries. Now, the report has been discontinued. What are the reasons for the discontinuation of report? It has been observed by the World Bank that there is the problem of the data integrity. They had said that they had found that the data is not very regularized and we can't trust the sources of the data. So therefore, they have put it under the suspension. Now guys, earlier we had always boasted such kind of a report, and we had said that higher the ease of doing business will attract a higher FDI, and as that FDI will be coming majorly into the manufacturing sector, there will be the achievement of the 100 million jobs into the manufacturing. Moreover, the manufacturing sector's share into the GDP will also increase to 25%. So it was a success when good India was performing good onto the ease of doing business. Now guys, if we see the India's track, then in 2014 India ranked at 142 rank, and now India has returned to the 63rd rank. Okay, so from 142 to 63, it is always said that it shows the resolve of government to work on minimum government, maximum governance. But now, as the report has been discontinued, saying that the data was not good or data was not always credible, do this minimum government, maximum governance actually holds some truth? Had government actually done something meaningful for the economic upliftment? That becomes a big mystery. Now guys, what has happened? Certain examples have been given where many a times it has been said that from very start there were problems into the ease of doing business. Now, particularly here the example of the Chile has been given. It has been said that the Chile ranked 34 in 2014 and its rank degraded to 67 in 2017. So in Chile, the Bachelet government was there, which was the socialistic government, and it is said that the ease of doing business always have a kind of a negative attitudes towards all the countries where the socialistic government is there, and deliberately their rank was reduced. Similar thing was done with the China also. China never ranked into the top performers. It was always hovering between the 70 to 95, 96 rank. So one thing we had seen, and on to the second hand, it has been said that uh, if we talk about India, even though the rank of India increased considerably, which we say that it is a good thing, but at the same time, if on ground we see, then number one, the GDP of the manufacturing sector has been stagnated at 16 to 17% from very start. No considerable improvement is there. Then, secondly, rather than say creating more jobs, 3.45 million jobs have been lost. Then third, it has been said that the growth rate of the manufacturing sector has actually went down. In 2015-16, the growth rate was 13.1%. Now the growth rate is 0% into the manufacturing sector. So though every year our rank is improving, why the ground results are not coming? So it says that from the very start, the report was not reflective of the realities. Then guys, it has also been said that the data collection procedure of the report was also not good. For example, for the India, it relied for the data on only two big cities, that is the Mumbai as well as Delhi. And even in Mumbai and Delhi, it used to take data from the lawyers, accountants, and brokers rather than taking the data from the entrepreneurs who are dealing with all these things onto the day-to-day basis. So therefore, it has been said that the sources are even not credible. Is it clear? And if I give you one more point, then many a times the World Bank's own independent evaluation group, which is World Bank's watchdog, it has also raised the criticism for the ease of doing business reports. Okay, so from very start there were the structural problems in such kind of report. Now guys, apart from the numbers in this particular report, if we see what this report suggests, this report suggests that less the government barriers will be there, the more unregularized the economy will be, the better will come. But who says such kind of thing? There is no correlation between the minimal restrictions and superior outcomes. So getting evaluating the countries on its rank is the flawed thing. Then guys, it has been said that many a times what has been seen that just to enhance the ease of doing business, just to remove the restriction, even the radicalized unwanted reforms have also been taken. For example, Maharashtra in 2016 abolished the annual mandatory inspection of the boilers, okay, which has been provided very clearly into the Boilers Act 1923. There needs to be an annual inspection. And if you see the experience of India with respect to the industrial accidents, our experience is such that we can't compromise on such kind of safety related matters. Into our newspaper discussion also, we had seen the accident into the Vishakhapatnam, then we had seen the accidents into the Tamil Nadu, then there are other spree of accidents, just Sri Salam hydroelectric plant, there was a fire incident. So how you are just to enhance the ease of doing business are removing all kind of restrictions, that is not good. So guys, such questions have been raised onto this particular front. So that's all about this particular article, and now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about the relocation of industries from China to India. Now we had seen a few days back also one more article on this line. Now it has been said, and even yesterday, just 2 days back, when I was telling you that the Japan is explicitly telling their countries, the companies, that they need to relocate from China, and even $2.2 billion fiscal stimulus have also been given to the corporate so that they shift. So shifting is being talked about, but the article says that whether actually the companies will be leaving China and coming to India. So on that particular thing, some points have been made. Now guys, it has been said that materialization will not be that much easy, that not smooth. Reason number one in this particular direction is that the China not only offers the cheap manufacturing base, cheap labor, but also provides the domestic market. Is it clear? So industries, they are relocating there so that they can serve the big market. And if you remember the first thing that is into the GS folder, I have told you about the middle income trap. Now the countries who are into the middle income trap, there is no market for the high value goods. China is a country which is about to break the middle income trap. It means that the wealth has been created into the China, and now a kind of a market for the high value goods is existing in China. But do that market exist in India? So for that particular thing, even if there is problems, the firm might not relocate for this particular thing because of the domestic market is there. Then the next is that even if they want to relocate from China, there's a high chances that they will go to the other Asian nations, particularly the Malaysia, Indonesia, Thailand and Vietnam, rather than coming to India, because they can provide much more benefits than the India. Better infrastructure, better basically less restrictions are there, and all such kind of things have been there. Moreover, vicinity to the deep draft port cities such as Singapore, Hong Kong have also been there. Is it clear? Then guys, next thing it has been said that India is not having the industrial base and the expertise with respect to providing the services to the high-end industries is not there into the India. We don't have that strong foundation that we can accommodate or can absorb it. Then next thing has been said that what happens, India always give a differential treatment to the industries which are of foreign nature. So the FDA which is coming, we don't give them the equal treatment. For example, just if you are following, just few days back we had seen that large number of complaints have been filed against Amazon. Why? It has been said that Amazon is following the antitrust treaties. It means that they prefer some kind of big sellers. Is it clear? We brought the e-commerce policy where the restrictions have been imposed. We are bringing such kind of changes every day just to conserve our own market. But this is not the way. The big corporates, they don't want such kind of restrictions. So therefore, they might not be coming very conveniently to the India. Then guys, what has said? The China has huge infrastructure at the time they have the skill. Moreover, China has proved that you bring the prototype, they will make that prototype into the product within no time. In India, we don't have such kind of facilities, such kind of technologies, such kind of research centers are not there, which can basically the time from prototype to product is very much high in India. But at the same time, China is favorable in this direction. Then guys, we talk about infrastructure. The problems of infrastructure can be solved by making the special economic zones, and we are also building it. But the infrastructure facility thinking line of India is also wrong. The China's SCZ, they are few, but they are very big, they are very huge. What in India we are doing with respect to the SCZ, special economic zones? We have made many, more than 100 of SCZs have been declared, but at the same time they are very small. And the SCZ, special economic zone, will become beneficial only when it will provide the economies of scale, when it will be very huge. It can provide a very big ecosystem so that it can, in itself, it becomes a kind of a manufacturing zone in its own. So only then the SCZ will be beneficial. By the way, if you don't know SCZ, special economic zones are those territories which enjoy the world-class infrastructure, which enjoys the world class of industrial regulation. The industrial norms are a little bit liberalized in favor of industries, and they are the centers which holds expertise into the exportability of the products. So with respect to the SCZ, our policies are not good. Moreover, even our SCZ don't work onto the nature of flexibility, and therefore they are not WTO compliant. WTO doesn't even recognizes our SCZ as SCZ. Then guys, it has been said that development in states with respect to the new industrial bases, export capability, developing the export capability has been very much limited. States have not actively worked into this particular direction. Therefore guys, a way forward has been there, that what we need to do, we need to solve all these structural challenges. And for that particular thing, immediately a high level body directly under the Prime Minister's office is needed to be made, so that they can look actively into all these matters, that the economic policy and the policy to attract the new FDI, they are always into the sync. Now if I give you the draft e-commerce policy which has been levied, or the antitrust rules which are being slapped onto the Amazon, obviously such kind of economic policies will not be good to attract new FDI, to attract new ventures in India. Moreover guys, a kind of a stabilization and transparency with respect to the policy framework is needed. Tax policies, clearance policies, they need to be streamlined. So all these are the challenges which have been provided into this particular article. So that's it friends. Now we'll move to the next article. Now this particular article talks about in an important location. So for prelims GS paper number 1, art and culture, it can be important. Now if you remember, the first news article that we discussed today was about the toy economy. So when we are talking about the toy economy, then in Karnataka, the Channapatna is called as the toy city of India. So here we can see that the traditional toys are made. Clear? Now, such a toy city of Karnataka, it is also called as the Gombegilla Oru. So, Gombegilla Oru or the toy city located in state Karnataka. Then guys, it has been said that such a city is facing huge problem. Number one problem is that there is the new generation which is not coming into this trade, and therefore by generations the city is losing its tag of being the toy city. New generations, they going into the other ventures because the productivity, the profitability into this particular sector has not been there. Then guys, it has been said that the skilled workforce is reducing every year because of the stress into the toy market. Then guys, right now even a new set of problems came, that is the losses induced by the pandemic. So therefore it has been said that as Prime Minister talked about having the vision of toy economy, we need to focus on to such kind of regional centers which has an expertise into the regional toys. We need to provide them the credit, we need to provide them the institutional mechanisms, we need to consolidate them into the kind of a cooperative ventures so that they can come together, they can pool up their resources. We need to give them the marketability of overseas, we need to provide them in this particular direction. Export regimes needs to be liberalized in their favor, so such kind of way forwards are needed. However guys, with respect to the prelims, please remember the name also. So that's it. Now we'll move to the next article. Now guys, this particular article talks about a very sensitive issue, that is the declining or deteriorating mental health into the people. Now, particularly as the lockdown started, due to the lockdown, the people have developed a kind of a fear psychosis, particularly the people who were working or the people who have a family to take care of. Why? Because a new set of economic miseries have came with the lockdown, and at the same time, as it is induced by a pandemic, and existential crisis have also came. Now guys, this particular news says that a parliamentary standing committee has been established to look at what has been impact of the lockdown onto the mental health. However, they will submit their report into the mean course of time. Now, into this particular news item, a study or a survey has been made with respect to the post-traumatic stress disorders. Now, post-traumatic stress disorders are like that when a person faces some kind of accident, or if when he faces a terrifying event, then he sees the flashes of that particular accident, he gets a nightmare, he gets anxiety out of a sudden because just the remembrance of that event comes. Now guys, this lockdown is being compared to a kind of a basically a traumatic event for the people. Into the survey, it has been said that 28.2% of the people, of the respondents, they had found that they actually are undergoing the post-traumatic stress disorder. Then there are 82% people who say that even if they now recall the lockdown, they develop a kind of an uneasiness. So guys, such kind of numbers have been given. You don't need to recall all number, but you can put it in a reference when the topic of the mental health is being talked about into the GS paper number 2. So guys, this particular survey was done by the Department of Community Medicine into the Vardhaman Mahavir Medical College as well as by the Safdarjung Hospital. So such kind of studies actually indicate that government needs to work not only onto the health infrastructure and economic infrastructure, they also needs to give the psychological counseling to the people, and in that particular direction the hotlines are needed to be made. Then the arrangements with respect to the institutionalized psychological care needs to be developed, so that when we come back from this particular lockdown, we are not only economically, physically fit, we also needs to be mentally fit to fight such kind of problems. And guys, as we have a very young demography, such young demography often it becomes pessimistic, it turns demoralized when such kind of incidences happen. And into the report, it has been said that even now the young children are questioning that whether they will ever be able to see the normal world. So in that particular direction, the psychological counseling needs to be considered by the government. So guys, that's all about this particular issue, and that's it. Now we'll move to the question section.
Guys, please pause the video and try to answer the question. Question number 1 is with respect to the Rail Land Development Authority. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Now, question number 2 is with respect to the Tiger Reserves. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Question number 3 is with respect to the Shanghai Cooperation Organization. Please read the statement and identify the correct code. Question number 4 is with respect to the teak trees. Please read the statements and identify the right option. Now, the mains question for today. This particular question pertains to the GS paper number 3 and it is a 10 marker question. Question says that industrial relocation from China is a desirable but not conceivable in the current scenario. Comment. So briefly you need to provide the impediments and challenges in this particular direction. So please write it and provide some multi dimensions into this question. So that's it. I hope you are liking our discussion. Thank you so much.